Hey everybody, it is Johanna here with Orbital Astrology. I am getting on a little bit early because last time I have been unprepared. So I thought I'd get on a little early just because, well, Mercury's retrograde, there's an eclipse, something's bound to happen that's not expected. So that's why I'm on a little early, and just so we can all get ready, just breathe a little bit. I have some jasper here. My very good friend Anna, who is a crystal clair, she energetically has connections to crystals, so she helped me pick out some crystals that were specifically associated with planets. So I have jasper here. And this stone represents Pluto. So I just wanted to use it to do a little bit of grounding so we can all just relax a little bit before we get into the forecast, because today is quite energetically heightened, I suppose, because of that energy that's going on. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So if you are here live, say hi. If you have access to a computer, or if you're watching this on your phone, and you can type into the chat and say hi. I would love to say hi and see who's here. Also, I know that there is the psychic fair currently going on at Resonant Essentials. Hey, Amber! So I'm going to talk a little bit about that too, because just sort of to go over some activities about what you can really do on an eclipse. And I think that's Jonathan. Hi, Jonathan. Nice to see you. All right. So it is 3:01. We are here. We are live. This is the Orbital Astrology weekly forecast. So we are here. It is Sunday. It is Sunday, May 15th, 3 o'clock. So we are on the day of the sun and in the hour of the sun. So that is why we've chosen this specific time, the specific day of the week, because sometimes in astrology, we like to set up the best possible situation for whatever your intentions are. So that's one of the benefits of using astrology, is you can select specific times, dates to harness that energy, or to set your intentions to use whatever you are trying to do, or create whatever you're trying to do in the best possible situation. So that's what we are doing with this astrology report. We have chosen this date and time, and yeah, here we are. So hopefully you all are doing well. It's been kind of, we've been in eclipse season. So this time period between now and then the solar eclipse we had 2 weeks ago has been a little bit funky, a little weird. Whenever we're in that portal, unexpected things come out, secrets sort of pop out. We see things in a different light, because what is really an eclipse when you think about it happening in the sky? You think about, well, the sun's normally out, and during a lunar eclipse, we have the, it's the full moon when the lunar eclipse happens. So tonight we have a full moon. It is happening tonight at 10:20ish, I think 10:30. Let me see exactly. 10:14. So tonight at 10:14 in New Mexico, you will be able to see the eclipse. However, you may not actually want to. I know a lot of people are very excited because it's going to be a visible eclipse tonight. So yes, I know there's going to be a lot of people out there sort of like wanting to see the blood moon turn red and everything. And it's going to be pretty amazing when you think about it astronomically. However, I wanted to just let you know that the ancients believed that it was bad luck to go outside and look at the eclipse. So, whichever, whatever, either superstition or belief or whatever thing you want to subscribe to tonight, if you're feeling great, if the eclipse has not been, affecting you, if you're just not into all of the mumbo jumbo or woo woo about this, great, go out, watch the eclipse, do your thing. If you are feeling slightly affected by the energy, yeah, you may want to stay inside tonight and, just take this time to do what you need to do energetically to sort of deconstruct a lot of this. I'll be talking a lot about deconstruction in the next week, because we are now currently, after tonight, in the waning phase of the moon. So I like to use some cards to show you, just to sort of embody what's going on. So we are having a lunar eclipse tonight in the sign of Scorpio, and these are cards called the Arcana of Astrology. I use them in my work and just for intention setting or meditation, and I also use them to embody the astrology in a physical hula hoop. So I do make a chart out of the hula hoop, and I use these cards to show where the placements are. But I like to just sort of, look at these, meditate on these, think about what is actually happening in the sky. So a lunar eclipse in Scorpio, which is a follow-up to the solar eclipse in Taurus, which we had at the beginning of the month, is a bookend to this very much intense emotional energy. The difference between this eclipse that's happening tonight versus the one that happened 2 weeks ago is that we had a solar eclipse in Taurus, which meant it was a Venus-ruled eclipse. So Venus rules the sign of Taurus. So when the moon is in Taurus, that means it's looking towards the ruler of Taurus, which is Venus. Now, Venus is a very positive planet. It's considered a benefic. It was also very well placed during the eclipse of 2 weeks ago. So if that energy felt much different to you, if it felt much more positive, if you felt energized by it in a good way, that is not going to be the experience that we're having tonight, because we are in the opposite sign, which would be Scorpio. And the ruler of Scorpio, one of the rulers, the ancient ruler of Scorpio, is Mars. So, when you think about the dichotomy of Mars and you think about Venus, Venus is love, Mars is war, Venus is caring and reception, Mars is aggression. Sometimes, use whatever keywords you want for Mars. That I'm not trying to scare everybody. I don't want to do a foreboding eclipse report, but I do want to give you a heads up that this eclipse tonight is a Mars-ruled eclipse, and we are also dealing with the other malefic. Mars is one of the malefics, and the other malefic, which is Saturn. So Saturn's still sitting there at the very, very end of Aquarius. This is the last year it's going to be in Aquarius, but it's kind of creeping slowly towards Pisces. So when it's sitting at those final degrees, kind of how Pluto is sitting at the final degrees of Capricorn. Sorry if you can hear my toddler yelling in the background. The final degrees of those planets, that's where it's just so happens to be lining up with this eclipse in Scorpio. Scorpio is, like I said, a Mars-ruled sign. The eclipse is actually happening at 25 degrees Scorpio. So wherever you have 25 degrees Scorpio in your chart, if you want to put that in the chat, if you know it, if you have a copy of your chart. If you don't have a copy of your chart, just you can put that in the chat too, and I can get you a copy. But you are going to be experiencing the energy or the events or the message, whatever is coming up for you as part of this story in whatever house contains 25 degrees Scorpio. So a lot of people I've been talking to are having this happen on the 1st and 7th house axis, which is very important because those two houses are angular houses. So angular houses have a lot more energy as far as creating focus on you, especially the 1st house, and then in the 7th house on your partner, or on some sort of intimate one-on-one relationship. So yeah, if you're not having it on, if you don't have Taurus rising or Scorpio rising, or if you don't have those in a very active place in your chart, don't worry. You may not experience this eclipse as intensely as some others, but just as a forewarning or as a heads up, this eclipse tonight is going to be very emotional, very intense. The sign of Scorpio really understands what makes life go round. It understands that life is about birth, life is about death, life is about transition, life is about growth, life is about getting rid of the things that aren't part of your life anymore and starting something new. And it is a very up and down roller coaster of emotion. That's what life is about. Life is about the fullness and the embodiment of living here on Earth. It's not so intellectual or la la la. It's real. Scorpio is in the dirt or in the yeah. the shit, right? It's always digging deeper. It's always experiencing how much a human can take, how much psychological, how much emotional, how much um, pressure we all go through as a part of the human race. I mean, they don't flinch away from anything. So there's a directness about this eclipse, a sort of starkness about it that sort of will want you to look at where have you come? How far have you come? What's the emotional evolution that you've been on? And what are some things that need looking at? It's very interesting to see how a lot of this has shown up in the news lately. Last week, I talked a lot about the Roe v. Wade. Obviously, that story is still coming out. There was a protest yesterday here in Albuquerque and across the country. So that's still this part of this eclipse story that's been happening. One thing that recently has come into the news, which was very interesting because the eclipse is about is especially this eclipse, the full moon. It's about the lunar phase, and the lunation getting blocked out because that's what an eclipse is. So if we think about what the moon signifies, and I think I talked a lot about this either last week or the week before. The moon signifies motherhood, right? We just had Mother's Day. The moon signifies nurturing, caring, especially for our infants. So what has just come up in the news lately is the shortage of baby formula. Now, this should be seen literally in this eclipse chart because Saturn is making a square to the sun and the moon. And Saturn represents restrictions, limitations. It's a big no. Wherever Saturn shows up is where you get a lot of no's in your chart. So there's a big no. There's a big impediment. There's a restriction. There's a limitation. People are not able to find baby formula, and it's an incredibly literal translation of the moon being afflicted by Saturn. So the moon mothers, nurturing, caring for children, feeding children, and Saturn saying no. So that's what's showing up in this eclipse chart. Of course, we always look at the astrology of the bigger picture, what's happening in our current culture, but this can be showing up in a much different way in your own personal life. So think of things in a much more psychological, emotional way. Of course, if you're a parent or a mother yourself, and you can understand the emotional just agony of not being able to feed your own child. So that's really something that we can all experience, especially those of us who have been in situations like that before. However, there is some positive aspects. I don't want you to think this is all doom and gloom. There is a lot of just strenuous stuff about this eclipse that's happening tonight, which is why I'm telling you to take precautions and take care of yourself emotionally, really, because it's all part of a cycle. It's not all the end of the world. We are just going through what happens every single year. There's an eclipse season in the first half of the year, and then there's an eclipse season in the second half. So this is it. Tonight is the final eclipse of this season. We won't have to deal with any more eclipses until Scorpio season. So not till October. We'll be fine. We'll talk about lots of other stuff throughout the year. So the positive aspect about tonight, and actually right now, which is why I wanted to bring up the psychic fair, which is happening at Resonant Essentials, is that there is a very nice sextile happening to Neptune. And Neptune is the planet of imagination. It is also the planet of psychics, a deep spiritual connection to the world, a deep spiritual, just a connection to spirit. I mean, Neptune can show up as spirit in itself. So if you are in the area of Albuquerque or the Northeast Heights, definitely recommend you go down to the psychic fair because it really is. Today could be a hugely cathartic experience if you are meeting with a healer or a psychic. One other aspect about today is that there is also a Venus conjunction with Chiron. Now that's actually pretty amazing because we have the last eclipse happen in Taurus, which was a Venus ruled sign, and now Venus herself is making a conjunction. So that's part of the story that's been happening for the past 2 weeks. What are you healing? What is coming up for you that may still be needing a little bit of care, a little bit of nurturing, a little bit of compassion, a little bit of self-soothing? So if you're feeling like something's coming up for you today, this conjunction with Venus and Chiron may be something that's really able to heal itself, or able to have an opportunity to look into something that needs healing. So there are also healers at the psychic fair if you are looking for somebody who you can connect with in this sort of situation. So really just check in with yourself today, because odds are you're probably feeling a little bit emotional about something. Something maybe kind of triggering for you. I mean, that's what astrology does. It helps us understand why things are coming up for us, and it gives meanings to our emotions and why we're feeling specific ways during specific times. So we don't just feel like there's no point, right? We don't feel crazy, basically. So if you are feeling this way, just know that these are alignments that are happening in the sky, and you can do something about it in your own life. And there are people here who can support you. So Resonant Essentials till 5 o'clock today. That means there's 2 more hours. You can still run over there and meet with a healer or a psychic. Also, some astrologers are at Resonant Essentials, I believe. So shout out to all the astrologers out there. Yeah, so we've spent 16 minutes already talking about just the eclipse for today, which is a big deal. Venus also rules money, so this may not just be about an emotional healing. It could be something that you're dealing with financially, financial healing, looking at your money blocks, other things like that. Venus is really about receiving. So with all of this angry Mars forceful energy happening, think about how you can receive more of love, money, whatever you would like to enter into your life. This is a south node eclipse that's happening today, so that is a lot of releasing energy versus the north node, which is magnifying or being drawn towards something. So, okay, my nose is I'm gonna sneeze again. All right, let's. So yeah, you can be doing a lot of releasing tonight as well. So, or just letting go, letting go of some stuff that you don't want in your life. Breathing, exhaling out that crap, right? We don't need it anymore. We don't want it, and you don't have to keep it with you. Eclipses are amazing opportunities to get rid of stuff. So, yeah, Uranus is also there. We talked about Uranus during the last eclipse. Still there. It's not coming into exact alignment with this eclipse, but it is. The moon will pass over, or the sun will oppose Uranus, because Uranus is in Taurus. So today we're going to be feeling a little bit of unpredictability. There may be some disruption somewhere. Eclipses, of course, are always very unpredictable. Just prepare for that. Once we're out of the Uranus, once we're out of the Taurus Scorpio axis of eclipses, things are going to feel a little less, jarring, I think. So shall we move on to the rest of the week? I hope everybody has something that they're going to be doing tonight. Everyone, please stay safe tonight, and just take care of yourself. So, Moon is moving into, let's see, Scorpio, right? We have Moon in Scorpio tonight, and it moves into Sagittarius tomorrow on Monday the 16th. Now, personally, I love the Moon in Sag because that means it's going to be passing over the galactic center. And if you guys had heard, this week there is the very first image that NASA has ever released of, yes, stay home, good job. I totally and fully support this. Stay home, take care of yourself, drink tea, nourish your emotions. That's a great thing to do on an eclipse, especially a Scorpio eclipse. So back to the galactic center. Have you guys seen all those pictures? Or I guess it's one picture that they released of what the actual galactic center looks like. Like, no one's been able to get close enough to take a picture, or the energy surrounding the black hole in the middle of our galaxy is so intense that you can't actually see inside of it. Plus it's obscured by clouds and space dust and energy shooting off from it. So really exciting to see this picture. And personally, since I love rings and hoops and orbits and everything like that, I use the hoops in my astrology practice. I just love the fact that it looked like a glowing hula hoop, right, around this black hole in the middle of this dark center, of which is the galactic center. So when the moon goes through Sagittarius, it's going to be crossing over that point, and you can sort of think about, what does the galactic center really mean in astrology? And it's a very, very new, since we don't even fully know what it is in the astronomy of it yet. The astrology is still kind of trying to catch up as to what it means in astrology. So when the moon is moving across the galactic center, which is at 26-27 degrees Sagittarius, that's going to be happening very, very early Wednesday the 18th. But we're going to have the moon in Sag all the way from the 16th to the 18th, very early in the morning, where it will go into Capricorn at about 6 o'clock in the AM. So it's actually a wonderful time to really think about your connection to creativity, to source energy, if that's what you call it, spirit, God. What really is feeding your purpose in life? What really makes you happy? Where do you feel good? Where do you want to go? What makes you want to create things? That's really what the galactic center energy is about. So what else did I write? Yes, it's a great day for what I call Astro Flow, to get into the flow of astrology through specific activities. One thing that's happening on the 18th that some people are saying is pretty maybe stressful is a conjunction. You're like, no more stress. Yes, I know Mercury's retrograde. It's okay. We're slowly getting through it. We're already through the first week, so we're okay. So what else happens on Wednesday the 18th is there is a conjunction between Mars and Neptune. And this is looked at by astrologers as negative because Mars is about purpose, intention, action, motivation, and like kind of end goal, like getting to something, winning, all of that. Neptune is about having no boundaries and no plan and not thinking clearly and just floating with the cosmos and just being in la la land. So you don't want to have a major surgery on this type of day. You don't want to have a military operation on this day. You don't want to have a major goal that you're trying to achieve on this day, because the Neptune aspect is going to give you a lot of confusion, a lot of obscurity. However, you can do something to use that Mars energy, which is an action-oriented energy, in a non-goal oriented way. So what could you do instead if you want to go and actually do something physical with your body on that day? You know what I'm going to say, right? Hula hoop. You can hula hoop on that day because it is a non-competitive, I have to do. I mean, no one picks up a hula hoop and is like, I'm going to do, well, I guess if you're in the Guinness Book, don't do Guinness Book of World Records type stuff on Wednesday the 18th, because you're not going to get to that goal. It's going to be something going on that's going to obscure it. However, if you just pick up something to have fun with it, or do something water related, because all of this activity is happening in Pisces, so go swimming on that day. Anything creative that doesn't have an end goal, like dancing or yoga or something that just is a physical expression that you don't have to actually clock in at a specific day. Don't go try to run a marathon or get a certain amount of steps on that day, because you're probably going to be a little off or something may come up. So just see if you can use that energy in a much more relaxed way. It's also good for meditation as well. I mean, as long as you're not like dead focused on, I don't know, a specific goal in meditation. If you just want to like sort of feel into it, express the energy in a gentle, watery, flowing way. That's really the best thing you can do that. So don't do something like, yeah. Anyway, we are also in this waning moon. After tonight, we are in the waning moon phase for the next 2 weeks until we have the next new moon. So what is that energy of waning moon? It's releasing, as I said, the south node of the moon when it's on an eclipse is releasing, decompressing and deconstructing. That's all energy that's going to start happening next week. So in the background of all these other things going on, think about, okay, it's also Mercury retrograde, so there's a lot of rethinking. So things may start coming up that need your attention, or you're like, I need to just sit myself down and really figure out what this means, because sometimes it just feels like there's no forward motion, because a lot of this energy in that in the waning moon phase is not growing, it's not getting bigger, it's not building towards something, it's releasing, reviewing, analyzing,
and learning from what has happened in the first half of the month. So that's really what we're going to be sort of floating in the background as the moon's going through Sagittarius, and then it goes into Capricorn. I think by Saturday it's into Aquarius. So the moon goes into Aquarius Friday the 20th, and then Saturday the 21st it will be in Aquarius. So really we're dealing with that sort of energy, that downward slope energy. And the physical, what does that mean in our physical bodies? So a lot of us are feeling that, the aging process. I mean, we all feel it, right? What does that mean physically for us? How are our bodies different? How are they responding? How are they maturing? How are we growing and transforming and deconstructing? Yes, how are we evolving and devolving at the same time, right? We live in a mortal body. We can't get away from that, right? That body is slowly aging towards its eventual. No, we're not immortal. That's what I'm saying. So what parts are getting some more solidified in your life as you age and mature and get smarter? On what parts are being released or being exfoliated? Let's say that. That's a kind of a nice word to think about. It's a very Scorpio word, exfoliate, because you're trying to remove the dead cells off your face or your skin. I mean, we have this epidermis that we're covered in that's constantly recharging and regrowing and regenerating. The cells are regrowing, and we really are constantly growing and evolving. So that's a lot of that type of energy that we're dealing with in this waning moon, especially. Pluto is still very active in our conscious and our subconscious, and so we really are looking at that. And Scorpio, even though we're at the end of this season of Scorpio eclipses, they'll be back in the fall. So that message that we're getting tonight with this eclipse is going to be part of that whole process, that evolutionary process. So just be kind to yourself. I mean, we're all doing our best in the bodies that we were given. So if you guys are sick of if you guys are sick of this like body and embodiment talk and like getting old and blah, 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 well, good news. Guess what? This week is a shift from Taurus season, which is about being embodied, into Gemini season. On the 20th of May, Gemini season officially starts. So the sun will be moving into Gemini at 7:22 p.m. on Friday the 20th. So if you guys are sick of all this body talk, guess what? We get to shift into a much lighter conversation. Once we get the sun into Gemini, things totally shift. Things get faster. Things get more exciting. Things get much more intellectual, much more communication based. Gemini is an air sign. It's a mutable sign. We are out of fixed Earth season. We are into mutable air season, which is a much more less heavy. It's less heavy. So if you guys are feeling overwhelmed by the heaviness of Scorpio eclipses and Taurus seasons, and then the Taurus eclipse, and then Uranus and Saturn and everything that's just affecting all this fixed energy right now, you'll get a little bit of a reprieve as we move into Gemini season. So things will start quickening up and getting a little bit faster. And we can start sort of thinking about things intellectually a little bit deeper. Not too deep, right? Because it's Gemini. No offense to all the Geminis. But you understand the idea of what Gemini means, right? It's Gemini with the air and the mutability of it. It's going to be a much different mood starting on the 20th. So we may see a lot more news. We may see a lot more people calling each other, or texting each other. Hey, you want to get together? Hey, let's do this. Also, the Albuquerque Astrology Group, our monthly meeting is next Saturday on the 21st, so it'll be officially Gemini season. It's going to be a roundtable discussion. It is a totally free event, so if you would like to come and have a discussion with us and talk about, we're really going to be deconstructing this entire eclipse season. We're going to be talking about, Jupiter in Aries, with the difference between Jupiter and Pisces and Jupiter and Aries, and like Mars coming into Aries, and like all the Aries energy that's going to be happening this summer. So if you are in the area of Albuquerque and you want to come, it's going to be at Resonant Essentials. It is going to be at 1 o'clock next Saturday at, let's see, the 21st of May. So, yeah, let's see, Gemini, we've become part of a pair. Yes, totally. The duality of Gemini is going to start popping up. So, we also have the Mercury retrograde happening in Gemini. So we're kind of getting a little bit of a preview, the doing things twice type of energy. So yes, if you are in Albuquerque, please come by. If you want to check out the group, you are totally welcome to do that. If you decide you want to actually join and be an official member, there is a membership fee, but you are totally welcome to come and see if you like it before you decide. So I hope you all have a wonderful eclipse tonight, whether you are inside not looking at it or you are outside with your stargazer friends and staring at that scary red moon. If you want, go right ahead. I personally will be inside, I think. So yeah, so have a wonderful day. If you are in Albuquerque now and you want to go see a psychic, you want to go get Reiki or healing or any sort of metaphysical support for this eclipse, great time to do that. So head on down to Resonant Essentials. They'll be there for another hour and a half, I think. So it was good to see you all. It was great to have so many people here live, and I will be back next Sunday. And I hope to see you all in person on Saturday at the Albuquerque Astrology group. So bye, everyone. Have a good night and deep breath. All right. Bye.